The second problem here is also a density problem, but it involves more steps. But it's really touching on the same concept, of course, with using some dimensional analysis. Now, there should be no reason for you to be doubtful of your confidence and your capability as long as you break down the problem. Okay, a problem is not meant, if it's a complicated problem, is not meant to be done in one step. So it's kind of like moving a mountain. You can't move a mountain all just in one day. You move it one rock at a time. So just break it down. So let's break it down into simple steps. So let's read the problem first. It says a steel sphere has a radius of 1.58 inches. So it says here R is 1.5 inches. If the steel has a density of 7.888 grams per cubic centimeters, what is the mass of the sphere? So clearly the mass is unknown. It's my X, and I would like to solve for it. Now, let's think about it. How do we solve for the mass if we're given the density? If you recall, we had this triangle right here. The missing piece of the puzzle is volume. So in order for us to solve for the mass, we need the volume. So can we do it from the information that's given? Yes, we can. We have a sphere here, but before we calculate for the volume of the sphere, which we will get the formula in a second, we need to be able to convert from inches to centimeters. Okay, why? Because if you calculate the volume in cubic inches, this is not going to cancel out with the cubic centimeter. So what you do first is you actually convert 1.58 inches into centimeters. Okay, so you might say, well, I don't know how many inches are in a centimeter. Now, I encourage everyone to remember this one. It's important. It's like as important as kilograms to pounds. For every inch, there is 2.54 centimeters. So therefore, inches going to be at the bottom. That's 1. And 2.54 centimeters are going to go into the numerator. Now, be aware of one thing here before we continue, and that is you don't round now. You still keep the whole numbers. But let's remember how many we started with. So we started with 3 here, 3 sig figs. We're still going to keep the same number here without rounding to 3 significant figures. So if you multiply these out, you're going to have 4.0132 centimeters. I keep the whole thing, but I remember that I need 3 significant figures, or I would put a line underneath here. So I have my centimeters. How do I calculate the volume of a sphere? Now, you don't have to memorize these formulas. I can give them to you on the test, but the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. 4/3 pi r cubed, or the radius. Now, all we have to do is plug in, this is my radius, plug this one into the r cubed. So then you go and obviously have to cube it. So I have 4/3 pi, open parentheses, 4.0132 cubed. Very well. So to calculate this, you don't round now, you round at the end when you get to the final calculation. But you need order of operations, so you cube first, then you multiply by the pi times the 4 divided by 3, etc. So in this case, I should be able to get, if I cube the r, so I would get 270.745, let's say 3. We're going to stop there. You can copy as many as you need, or if you have a calculator, just actually copy this whole number and use it for the next step. So this is going to be in cubic centimeters. So now what we have here is we have our volume. Here's a volume, and the density is right here. So take this number and let's just recall what we have to do with this triangle to calculate the mass. So if you need the mass, it means you have to take the density times the volume. So since we have the density, erase the volume here. Multiply it by the volume, 7.88 grams per cubic centimeters. And you need to notice that the cubic centimeters are going to cancel out right there. So your answer will be 2,133.47. So the mass will be 2,133.47 grams. Now, we need to go back and remember our significant figures. We only need 3. So that means this is my first, second, third significant figure. What comes after that is a 3. So that means I have 2130. Once again, if you discard the numbers after and you just keep it as 213, you have the wrong answer because it's the wrong value.